Hello everyone, I'm Melissa Dudan. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Trending Vegas. What a busy few weeks it has been on social media. I'm joined by a portion of our social media team here at this city, including Nikki Bowers. And for the first time in more than a year, there's a beautiful Nikki. In the first time in more than a year, we are able to bring back a social media influencer.
Yay.
And with us today is Heather Dweck. She runs Las Vegas Triplets.
Yes, I do.
So it's three of her kids, triplets, obviously. And I mean, you guys are all over social media. So we always like to hear from you guys. How did you guys get started? How did you find your niche?
Well, it's crazy because first I started a food page in the very beginning, and it was really successful and going well. And I started realizing like, oh, I kind of can do this. Like I kind of know how to run social media. So I actually let somebody else have the food page and thought, I'm going to have this benefit my triplets, kind of build them something that they would have. So as they got older, they would even have like their own page that maybe one day they could run if Instagram is still around. I thought it would be a cool thing.
You never know.
Yeah, and I just started really working hard, contacting companies, doing my best to, take great photos and edit them and make things look good. And from then it just really, really grew.
What do you think, how does it grow? Because I think a lot of parents, they're in that same predicament where they're saying, I want to start a page, but I have no idea how to grow. And in my experience, social media, Instagram specifically, it's harder to gain those followers than it is Twitter or other social media platforms.
I feel like Instagram has gotten a lot harder as time goes on. I started this a few years ago, so it was easier. But I think a big part of it is finding the right people that want to follow you, kind of staying in your niche. Like with the kids, they're following our kids. It's kids wanting to see. So instead of trying to market to adults or other people, I'm like literally trying to think, what does another 11-year-old want to see? What do they want to see? What will interest them? Yeah.
Yeah, and now you're telling me that these companies actually come to you and say, we're going to send you our products. Can you please have your kids take pictures with them?
Yes.
And so those kinds of contracts and negotiations are always in the work for you. But you mentioned to me during COVID, you kind of had a moral, ethical dilemma on your hands.
Did.
So you want to talk about that?
Yes, it was such a hard time because companies still wanted to send us things. But at that time, I felt like the fact that we did have a kid audience, I did not want my kids just showing off stuff. Just like, oh, look at this huge box of toys we got while their parents are struggling out of work, they're staying home. I was just like in this spot. We had a few commitments that I had to follow out because they were like yearly commitments. Right. But other than that, we pulled back on everything. And now the page has really suffered for it. Our numbers are down, everything's down. But at that time, it just didn't feel right to just rub in other people's faces. Right. Like, oh, look how great we're doing. I'm sorry, you're not, And it just didn't feel right. So we pulled back all the way. And it felt right for all of us anyways. It just felt like that was not the time.
Well, you're a gem because there are a lot of people out there that are not like that. So we're glad you're here with us today.
Oh, thank you.
All right, guys, let's move on to our very first topic, and that is the mask mandate that was issued here in Clark County after seeing a huge spike in COVID-19 cases due to the Delta variant. Clark County has said employees need to wear masks at their place of business, but this does not include customers. A lot of you, you had strong opinions on this. Megan Misterly writes, employees of businesses across Clark County will be required to wear masks while working in indoor public spaces as COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations continue to rapidly rise across the Las Vegas Valley. Here's a response. Just employees? That's missing the mark. Hashtag disappointing. And then there's this from Channel 3 and shows just how badly the problem is in hospitalizations. Hospitalizations in Nevada related to COVID-19 surpassed 1,000 on Thursday for the first time in nearly 6 months, according to new health data. And finally, I want to show you this video that Metro put out. It says, one of the more recognizable members of our department recently opened up to us about his personal battle with COVID-19. Take a moment to hear from Sergeant Tom T.J. Jenkins. We're glad you're feeling better, Sarge.
I was one of those guys, I was that skeptical dude that I thought COVID was a joke. I was also anti-mask. I thought the mask was silly. I didn't think that this was that serious, to be honest with you. I jumped in the car and I drove myself to UMC. It wasn't the fear of dying, it was the fear of not being able to breathe. The mask is not a joke for me now because I know what it's like to be sitting in a hospital and it feels like somebody put a bag around your head and duct tape to your neck where you can't breathe. Go get the shot. Get it for your family, get it for your coworkers, get it for your friends, get it for your spouses, get it for your kids.
I actually watched that video from beginning to end. I know that sergeant. I interviewed him numerous times during my career, and I was shocked to hear that he didn't want to wear a mask, that he didn't want to get vaccinated. And I felt like that's why his words were so powerful when he says, I felt like someone put a bag over my head and I couldn't breathe. That's impactful. But the discussion quickly turned to, well, we've heard these kind of testimonials before. Do they make a difference? So, Nikki, let's go ahead and start with you. What are you seeing on social media? What are people saying about the Clark County mandate now?
Well, what I'm seeing on social media, I'm seeing a lot of people, it's kind of, I don't want to say mixed because I don't really know if it's 50-50, but it is a mixed bag. Basically, a lot of people are saying that they are happy that we are finally taking some steps to get back into the mask to make sure that everyone is being protected. But then you also have the other side that's saying that, you know, it's violating their rights. It's violating their rights to be able to do what they want with their body. It should be up to them whether they put a mask or not on themselves and their kids. So it is a mixed bag on social media, but I do feel like a lot of people are leaning towards the way of they're happy that it's back, but they are saying that it should be all of us wearing masks and not just the employees.
I think that's where it gets confusing for me because I'm sitting there going, okay, well, if I'm at a restaurant and you're required to wear a mask, but I'm not and neither is anybody at my party, okay, I'm just a little confused by it, but I'm also not a medical expert. So Heather, your thoughts on this? What are you seeing on social media?
Same. I'm seeing it all over the place. But you know, for me, I came to the same thing. Like, how does this make sense? But then also, I know that early on during COVID, we were really watching those hospital numbers because if we overwhelm our hospitals, then that causes problems for all of us. Absolutely. If I get sick, if you get sick. So I think it kind of comes down to protecting locals, and locals are the ones that are out there working. And we have all these tourists coming in, and being that, you know, we're working on an honor system for a lot of people, I think it's kind of a way to hopefully reduce those hospital numbers and not overwhelm us so much.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the only theory I could come up with why they would only protect employees, because employees are locals.
Well, and that's a really good point, especially when you're talking about tourists coming to the Strip. They don't want to wear their mask. They want to come in. They want to come out. But at the end of the day, it's the blackjack dealer. It's the waitress. It's,
right.
You know, everyone else that we're protecting ourselves from that happening. So that's a really good point. The other thing is that they're talking about also federal mandates in some places that you have to get vaccinated or you have to get tested weekly for COVID-19. So it's going to be really interesting. Y'all, I need my kid to go to school in August, okay? Like, I just need them to go to school, so.
Me too.
Let's just do what we need to do.
Me too, definitely. I would like mine to go to school.
Yeah, let's just get them to school. But we did ask you guys on Instagram what your thoughts are on this Clark County mandate, and here's what a few of you guys had to say. You said, masks are absolutely ridiculous and do absolutely nothing. It's all fear-mongering and mind control. And then the other ones are useless. Another one, Jameson Bright, says, I'm tired of Las Vegas being treated like the ugly sister of Los Angeles and New York. And then Mrs. Campos writes, stop with the masking. It should be optional. And then Aline writes, no, it's about control again. And then Beth Scott says, you obviously don't unless you're not an employee. No, tyranny sucks. So it's really kind of a mixed bag. People are saying employees who have been vaccinated should not have to wear masks. A lot of people are upset about the mask. And what's weird for me is that as a Clark County resident, when the mask mandate came back, I said, okay, let's do it. I mean, I didn't have any hesitation. I didn't love the masks, but I did it. But now, and I don't know if it's a psychological thing with me, I almost feel safer with the mask on just automatically, where I'm like, all right, we're back to masks. Cool, let's just do it. I don't know. Nikki, did you have that thought? Or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I had that same feeling. At first, I was just like, no one likes the mask. We all get it. And I was like, I really don't want to do it, but I don't mind doing it, because if it's going to keep our numbers, if it's going to make our numbers go down, if it's going to keep people safe, I'm willing to suck it up and do it. You know, I've had COVID myself, and it is not fun. Ooh. I don't want to get it again. So I was definitely gung-ho, like, okay, I'll just put the mask back on.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens as we move forward. All right, guys, let's go ahead and switch topics. And of course, we have to talk about the Olympics, which is an event where I seem to cry more than usual. There's so many things to talk about, from the opening ceremonies to our local athletes. So here we go. First, we're tracking how all the locals at the Summer Olympics are faring on this page. Bo Becker became the first Reno resident to win an Olympic gold medal at the Summer Games last night, and Northern Nevadan has a few more medal hopefuls still to come. This was interesting. Last year, Bo Becker was waiting tables at a Reno coffee wine bar, retired from swimming and trying to become a sheriff's deputy. Monday, he helped America win a relay gold medal, a story of a guy who wouldn't let the dream die. Germany women's gymnastics team wore unitards at the Olympics to fight discomfort and sexualization. Some athletes say the sports culture can promote objectification, and leotards can be a barrier for religious cultural reasons. In a quote, everybody should decide what to wear. And finally, this tweet over the runner who got kicked off Team USA after she was caught with marijuana in her system. Should have let Sha'Carri Richardson compete. And that was in response to a lot of tweets on social media saying that viewership for the Olympics has gone down, which boggles my mind, everybody, because I am Olympics 24/7. So we have so many topics to talk about. Let's talk with the most recent development, and that is Simone Biles. She took herself out of the team competition, stating mental issues. I believe I saw the vault that she did where she just kind of didn't look as strong as she typically does. To me, she still looked amazing, but we talked about this a couple weeks ago with Naomi Osaka and mental health issues. And I've always said this about athletes in the Olympics, the amount of pressure they have on them and the stress, I can't even fathom what they're going through. And it's going to be interesting to see what Simone Biles is going to be saying, if at all, about this as we go forward. But Nikki, let me go to you. Out of all of the Olympics right now, when you think about the Olympics, what topic really kind of gets your juices flowing? What gets you going? Like, what do you want to talk about? The open ceremonies? Is it an event? Is it a story in particular that you just love?
I want to talk about the open ceremonies, because seeing Naomi Osaka come out and light the torch was literally just an amazing thing to see. And it was, to me, very empowering. It was empowering for people who may have some issues with mental health. And having issues with mental health does not mean you're crazy.
No.
You know, a lot of people think that. They think there's a stigma, but I think we're starting to get away from that stigma of mental health. It's meaning like you're just not doing well right now. You're having some issues, and you're going to take care of yourself. You like you would take care of your body if you have an injury. Mm-hmm. You're going to take care of your mind, your spirit, and your soul, and say, you know what, this is too much for me right now. And you know, Naomi got a lot of backlash. She got a lot of support. She got majority support, but then she got backlash from some people, some media people who were bullying her, pretty much saying, just suck it up. So to see her light the torch, that was like that was probably my favorite Olympic moment right now.
Right, and those drones, we'll just mention the drones really fast, that formed the world in the sky, amazing. So what so far has been your favorite Olympic moment of this Olympics?
This may not seem like so crazy, but I'm an 80s kid, so watching skateboarding, I thought that was really cool.
Me too, yeah.
I mean, I grew up in like the Tony Hawk, like all of that stuff. So I was like, wow, this is cool. I just love that the evolution and including new sports that are really special that people, you know, spend their whole life practicing. So I thought that was a really neat, and I spent a long time watching all these skateboarders, which was really cool.
Yeah.
You know?
I actually loved, right now, it's so weird because there is not an audience at the Olympics, and I love that NBC has actually put cameras in the homes of these athletes or in the hometowns of these athletes and are showing live coverage of how they're reacting.
Yes.
I'm loving it. That's when I cried. I'm like, oh my God, it's so
Yeah.
beautiful. I also love how women are taking a stand for themselves right now when it comes to what they're forced or expected to wear during competitions. And my 4-year-old daughter was watching the gymnastics with me, and she stopped and she said, why are they wearing that? And it kind of, as a child, it took her like, wow, that's a lot of, flesh to expose, or, not that it's anybody's fault. But I said, it's your decision to wear whatever you want to wear and whatever makes you comfortable. And I do love that women in this Olympics are saying, you're not going to do it to me. You can find me, you can do whatever you want, but I'm going to wear what I want to wear. And I think that's amazing. Nikki?
Also on that, my favorite other part of the Olympics was Pink going on Twitter and literally saying, don't worry about it. I will pay your fines. It's okay. I'm happy you guys stood up for yourselves and said, you know what? This isn't going to fly. I'm not comfortable in this. I don't want to wear it. So Pink, the rock star that we all know her to be, went on Twitter and told, that team, I think it was it Germany?
I think it was Poland.
Told them,
Somebody.
I'm going to pay your fine, which is
that's
a
amazing.
great thing.
That's amazing. And we all, of course, want to wish everybody from Nevada, Las Vegas, good luck. You guys are killing it out there. You're doing great. We have members from the Aces out there. We have golfers out there, swimmers out there. So we are watching and we are cheering you on back here at home. All right, guys. Well, Nevada is making a lot of news after a transgender woman was crowned Miss Silver State USA. She will now go on to compete for the title of Miss USA. As you can imagine, social media, some were elated, others were outraged. ABC News writes, Catalina Enriquez made history by winning the title of Miss Nevada USA and becoming the first openly transgender contestant who will compete in the upcoming Miss USA competition. This man writes, so Miss Nevada is transgender. Are we just going to take everything from women? Jeff Harper writes, first transgender woman crowned in Nevada, just made it to the Miss America pageant. Not my normal MO for Twitter, but very happy to see a gorgeous woman breaking through old toxic webs of society and providing opportunity for future generations. And finally, how does a man win Miss Nevada? Am I the only one not pretending we live in a circus? How about transgender biological men compete against themselves and leave an already marginalized group alone? This was a really interesting conversation, you guys, because I think you have people that are like, you're marginalizing women that are already, and then you have the transgender community, and it's just, I am elated, and she is beautiful and is deserving of the crown, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen. And now you are actually close to this competition.
Yes, well, my girlfriend was one of the first people who actually allowed her in the pageant. She had been rejected, and so she took her entry into the Miss Silver State, which then led to her going into Miss Nevada and then winning. And so it was, I cheered my girlfriend on the whole time and was just like so proud of her that she would have that kind of inclusion and allow her in. And then on top of it, the other night I got to meet Catalina. She's lovely, she's kind, sweet, well-spoken, everything that I would hope that we would represent. And I work really hard to teach my kids that you have one life to live. You've got one shot at it. And be who you want to be who you need to be happy and to feel like you're truly yourself. And so this is a true representation of something that I teach in my own home.
Yeah, and call me crazy, I don't know, but it feels like Nevada is always on the forefront of these kinds of things, and that's what makes me excited about this state all the time.
Yes.
I feel like we're always leading the way, right, Nikki?
It's unexpected, right? I'm so happy about it.
We're amazing.
Yes, we really are. And with the Raiders having the first openly gay player, I'm just like, this is really becoming a state that is welcoming and accepting of people
Very
of all
inclusive,
types.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Nikki, what are you seeing? What are your thoughts?
So what I'm seeing on social media is that there is a lot of support for her, a lot of support. There are some people, of course, who are naysayers, who are saying, she was not born a woman, so she should not have been able to be in the competition. But she is a woman. She is a woman now. And a lot of people are definitely behind her and supporting her, especially the local LGBTQ plus community. They're definitely supporting her, and just so many people in general. And I agree with you guys. I think Nevada is a state that is very inclusive and welcoming to all. And so she is definitely a great person to represent our state when she goes to the Miss USA pageant.
Absolutely. All right, guys. One final topic today I want to quickly talk about, and it's about the video that was circulating after Fox 5 Vegas posted a Ring camera video of a man saying he wanted to rape and kill the woman inside. He was standing at the door asking her to let him in. It was definitely scary. So here's a quick look.
I'm going to rape and kill the girl that's on the other side of this door when she lets me in. I want to rape her and kill her because I have a knife and a gun. Yeah, and I'm going to knock on her door again.
So this video just got a lot of attention, and a citizen, from what I understand, Nikki, you can correct me if I'm wrong, a citizen recognized him, called it in, and one of our marshals, our deputy marshals, actually made the arrest. Can you talk to us about that?
I think what came out of this, like I said, even though the video is horrifying to look at, because I think we all just kind of put ourselves in that situation, I think it's great that it came out of here so people know that if they are in distress, let's say they're in a park or something, and they see a marshal, they can go up to him or her and ask for help.
Great discussion today, guys. Nikki, thank you for being here. Heather, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Check out her page, Las Vegas Triplets, on Instagram.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, thousands of renters in Nevada are scrambling to look for help as the eviction moratorium lifts. But even though the deadline is here, there is still help for you. We have details after the break.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, go get it. You can do it.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Welcome back, everyone. It's been a rough year for many Nevadans who have lost their jobs and their ability to pay for their rentals. Thankfully, the state and the CDC had eviction moratoriums in place, but those moratoriums are now done. So where can you go for help? Jim Birchtold from Legal Aid of Southern Nevada is joining me to help and sort it all out. Thanks so much for joining us.
Sure, happy to be here.
So this actual show is going to air on Saturday, and that is the last day of the CDC's moratorium.
Yes.
So come Sunday, I haven't paid rent. What do I do? What's the process? Let's start there.
So the process is really this, the messaging that we were giving during the moratorium is the same messaging. There is help for tenants, but tenants have to take action. Nothing's going to happen automatically. So a tenant really needs to be proactive and reach out for rental assistance to protect themselves in an eviction setting. That's our big message.
So it's not a matter of just wait till you get that eviction notice and you're out. You still have rights. You still have, pathways you can take.
Absolutely. The legislature was really had a lot of foresight in passing AB 486. And what 486 does is basically creates an eviction diversion program so that if a tenant receives an eviction notice, that eviction process is slowed to allow the rental assistance to kick in so that by the time the tenant goes through that process, ideally, they've had a decision on their rental assistance and the eviction gets avoided. That's the goal.
Okay. And one of the things that is confusing in Southern Nevada, and I know we run into it a lot in different programs, is that you have different jurisdictions.
Yes.
You've got North Las Vegas, Clark County, City of Las Vegas. You've just got everything, and you're going, well, I live in the city or I live in the county. Do I have to go to different people? But the way you've explained it to me, it's all kind of funneled into one.
Yes.
So can you explain that?
Sure. So Clark County, for the rental assistance piece,
Right.
Clark County Social Services is running the rental assistance. So there's a one-stop shop. They have an online portal that tenants use to apply. Every tenant will apply in the same place, regardless of where they live. Now, if the tenant actually receives an eviction notice, the tenant absolutely has to file an answer with the court within that time period of that notice. So they have to actually go down to court, or you can actually do it online now, and get that answer on file. Where the tenant files that answer will depend on where the tenant lives. So it could be Las Vegas, North Las Vegas, or Henderson.
And will the notice show you which court you have to file in?
Yes, it will tell you which court to file in, absolutely.
Okay, and then at that point, Clark County will look at it and say, okay, this renter at this address is asking for assistance. At the same time, the landlord has put an eviction notice for this same guy. Let's go ahead and merge the two and get everyone the help they need.
Yeah, so for months we've been working with Clark County, with the courts, with the legislators to try to come up with a plan, a kind of overarching plan. So really what's going to happen is every day the courts are going to give a list of all the evictions that are filed to CHAP, to Clark County.
Okay.
Clark County is going to compare those against the applications that they've received. If the tenant is already in the system, they will make sure the application is complete, and then they will expedite the processing of that application. If the tenant is not in the system already, hasn't applied for CHAP yet, Clark County is actually contracted with 3 nonprofits who will then reach out to the tenant and say, look, we want to help you get qualified. So the tenant will receive a call from this nonprofit who will help walk them through the CHAP process. Then those applications will be expedited. So ideally, as long as you're eligible for CHAP, you won't go through the eviction process without some kind of approval so that the eviction can be avoided.
What makes you not eligible for CHAP?
Possibly income if you make too much money.
Okay.
But importantly, CHAP, let's say you've gone back to work, right? You were laid off, but you've gone back to work. CHAP is going to look at what your income was at the time you're seeking that assistance for. So if you were unemployed at that time, that's what CHAP's going to look like. So most of the tenants that we're seeing in the community who are seeking this assistance, they're really struggling. And so income hasn't been a big thing. A lot of the applications are rejected simply because the documentation that's required hasn't been provided. So it's really important that tenants keep on top of it and provide everything that's asked for.
Right, get your ducks in a row,
Yes.
any pay stubs or no lack of pay stubs, bank accounts,
Yes,
that kind of stuff.
absolutely.
You were mentioning to me that is there not a cap on how much this program can give you in terms of assistance? If I have a family and I had a 3-bedroom apartment, I mean, will I get the full amount for that if I qualify and follow the rules?
So the only cap is CHAP can only pay for 12 months of back rent.
Wow.
So once you exceed the 12 months, you're done. But up to that 12-month period, there's no cap on the actual amount. So it doesn't really matter what the tenant's rent was. It's that 12-month look-back period.
That's amazing. So before we move on to other topics, I do want to ask, because you will have landlords at eviction and people are not keeping up with research on what to do, you do not have to leave immediately once you're given that eviction notice. You have ways to go.
That's right. The eviction notice is actually the tenant's opportunity to take action and defend themselves in the eviction case. Okay. So one really important thing that AB 486 did, the new law that was passed, is when a tenant files with the court, the tenant can raise the defense of, I have a pending CHAP application. And that eviction won't be granted until there's some decision on that application.
Got it.
So it's really important that tenants go down to the court. They file an answer with the court, and in that answer they do 2 things. They say, I have a pending CHAP application, because they've already applied for CHAP, of course, and they say, I want to participate in the mediation program, because the mediation program gives the tenant the opportunity to sit down with a mediator, with the landlord, and that mediator is going to check with CHAP to say, what's the status of this tenant's application?
Okay, well, we wish you the best of luck. You're going to have a busy couple months ahead of you guys.
Yes.
But thank you for all your help. Great information today.
Thank you.
All right, well, that's going to do it for Trending Vegas. Remember, you can get in on the conversation. Just follow us at City of Las Vegas and use the hashtag Trending Vegas. Also, you can make sure to never miss an episode by subscribing to our newsletter. Just take your camera phone and point it to the QR code on the screen, and it will take you directly to our sign-up page. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you next time.